So in my current role, we deal with a heavy mix of federal, 50% federal, the other half commercial and nonprofit clients. Really, the federal space is where the videos are coming out. Last year, in 2017, we responded to 2 video submission proposals. These were kind of innovative for the federal government. They very prided themselves on being video. So to kind of start off and answer Mitch's first question, video, virtual, what does that mean to you? In the federal space, virtual can mean that they just want a talking head. They just want to see maybe 1, 2 people on the screen. They don't want anything fancy. They just want to get that instant connection with who maybe your program manager is and maybe another key personnel. Maybe it's a few people of your key personnel team, but it's nothing fancy. It's just very straightforward. The government has urged to use, your iPhone, your cell phone, no big productions. But video, on the other hand, is where the government has thrown in some extra kind of incentives, if you will, of what they want to see in a video, which means they want to see not only your key personnel, but they want you to explain maybe a case study or a sample task. Show them some type of widget or something that you've created, a minimum viable product, walk them through that. So that's where video kind of gets a little more complex in terms of how you figure out how you're going to put it together, package it, make sure your customer understands it.
Great. So for me, it kind of depends what you mean by proposals. We've got a lot of writers here, so the P in APNP, I think traditionally has meant the physical document and increasingly the electronic document you submit. Okay. So as we talk about video, you can use video in different ways all through the sales process. Through before you even get to an RFP stage to develop preference. Increasingly we're seeing, as Hilary said, as perhaps actually the proposal is the video rather than instead of a document, or maybe as well as a document. And as Hilary said also, perhaps it's quite hard to get really creative with that because it's still quite prescribed. Where I see the most benefit, and why I got into this really, is because if after that stage, if you're in the lucky position of being able to go in and pitch, to do some kind of oral presentation, and I appreciate not everyone in the room's teams do get to do that, but if you do get to do that, that is where video really comes into its own, because video is all about creating an emotional connection. They haven't invited you in to give them yet more information. They've invited you in to see, are you nice people to work with? They want to see the whites of your eyes. And so I think it's a mistake, knowing that video exists. It's kind of like going and saying, oh, they'll just want radio, won't they? Why would, if you know television exists, why would you do radio? So obviously if you're in the car, you might do radio, fair enough. But in most situations, why are we going in and just showing PowerPoint, which appeals very much to logic, rather than starting with something like video, which appeals to emotion? And that's what we've done a lot of. Because the first one we did, the client came back and said it changed the atmosphere in the room when we showed the video, and it went from being kind of God salesperson to much more warm. We just warmed up the room. And I thought, oh my goodness, we're onto something. So that's how I've got into doing video for proposals. So that's kind of my background.